3,500 years ago, an Egyptian priest stood in darkness, holding a bowl full of water with a tiny hole at the bottom. That dripping water? That was his clock. No gears, no glass, no ticking, just a slow, silent drip deciding when to pray, when to eat, when to sleep. And if the hole was carved wrong, entire cities lost track of their own calendar. What humans invented before the clock was not just clever, it was desperate. Now tell me something. Which country are you watching this from? Drop it below. Desperate is the right word, because before any tool existed, before any invention, any system, any device, humans had exactly one clock: the sky. Every morning, a farmer walked outside and looked up. The sun's position told him when to plant. A shadow on the ground told him when to stop. That was it. That was the entire system. No backup, no alternative, just light and darkness, and the hope that tomorrow would look the same as today. But here is what nobody tells you. The sky lies. Clouds roll in. Seasons shift. A storm arrives and suddenly nobody knows if it is midday or late afternoon. Entire harvest gone, because the sun disappeared for 3 days. Imagine that. Your food supply, your survival, your family, all of it dependent on weather you cannot control. This is where it gets interesting. Certain men figured out that whoever explained the sky owned the people beneath it. In ancient Egypt, priests studied star patterns for years. They knew when Sirius, the brightest star, rose just before dawn. That moment marked the beginning of the Nile flood, and the flood meant life. So the priest who predicted it first, he was not just respected, he was untouchable. Same story in Babylon. Same story in China. Same story in every early civilization. The person who understood time held power that no army could take away. Think about that for a second. No weapon, no wealth, just knowledge of when, and suddenly you control everything. But nature was still unreliable. Stars vanished behind clouds. Floods came early. Predictions failed. Humanity needed something more consistent than the sky. Something they could build. Something they could hold in their hands. And that obsession, that desperate need for control, pushed humans toward their first real invention. That first real invention was embarrassingly simple. A stick. Pushed into the ground. Shadow falls, moves with the sun. The sundial. Egyptians were using it around 1500 BC. Greeks refined it. Romans spread it across an entire empire. For centuries, this was cutting-edge technology. But here is the problem. No sun, no time. At night, useless. Underground, pointless. Inside a building during winter, completely worthless. So someone, somewhere in ancient Egypt, looked at a bowl of water and had a thought. What if the dripping never stops? That was the birth of the clepsydra, the water clock. A container with a small hole at the bottom. Water drips out at a steady rate. Markings on the inside walls show the passing hours. Day or night, rain or shine. It did not matter. For the first time in human history, time kept moving even when the sky went dark. Let that sink in. That felt like magic. Babylon used it. Greece used it. The Chinese built versions so complex they filled entire rooms. But every solution carried a hidden flaw. Cold weather slowed the drip. Mineral deposits clogged the hole. An impatient servant filled it wrong. And suddenly a general arrived at a battlefield 3 hours late. People died because of bad water clocks. Then came candle clocks, burn rate marked in sections. King Alfred of England reportedly used one. Same problem. Wind made it burn faster. A draft in the room and your entire schedule collapsed. Every single invention solved one thing and broke another. Yet, humans kept building, kept refining, kept obsessing. Because the real enemy was never the dark. It was whoever controlled the light. And in medieval Europe, that enemy had a name and a bell tower. That bell tower belonged to the church. And what happened next? Most history books skip right over it. In medieval Europe, ordinary people did not own clocks. They could not. No technology existed yet for personal timekeeping. So the church filled that gap. Monastery bells rang 7 times a day. Matins, lauds, prime, terce, sext, vespers. Every single hour of a peasant's life scheduled by someone else. Wake at the bell, eat at the bell, eat at the bell, work at the bell, pray at the bell, sleep at the bell. Miss a bell? Miss a meal. Let that sink in. This was not just religion. This was control dressed up as devotion. Merchants figured it out fast. If monks controlled morning bells, merchants controlled market bells. Ring it early. Squeeze an extra hour of labor from workers before anyone noticed. Workers had no way to argue. They had no clock. They had no proof. Just a bell and whoever held the rope. Then around 1275 AD, something shifted. The first mechanical clock appeared in Europe. Iron gears, weighted pendulum, a machine that ticked without water, without fire, without sunlight. But here is what nobody mentions. It was not placed in a home. It was not built for ordinary people. That first clock sat on a church tower, visible to everyone, owned by no one. The tool changed. Control did not. Power simply upgraded its equipment. For 2 more centuries, time remained a public performance, something shown to you, not something you possessed, until one man changed everything. He did not build a clock. He did not fund a revolution. He was locked in a room with nothing but time itself, and he noticed something swinging. That swinging thing was a lamp, hanging from a cathedral ceiling in Pisa, swaying back and forth in a slow, steady rhythm. Most people walked past it every single day. Galileo could not stop watching. He noticed something nobody had before. Each swing took exactly the same amount of time. Short arc, wide arc, did not matter. The rhythm never changed. He had no watch to confirm it. So he used the only timer he trusted, his own heartbeat, and it matched. Every single time. That moment, 1602, inside a cathedral, he was not even supposed to be studying physics and cracked open the entire future of timekeeping. But here is the part that hits different. Galileo never built a clock. He sketched one, described one, dreamed about one. He went blind before he could finish. His son tried to construct it from those drawings. Never completed. It took Christian Huygens, a Dutch mathematician, to finally build the first working pendulum clock in 1656. Suddenly, timekeeping was not a public performance anymore. Clocks moved off towers, into homes, onto mantles, eventually into pockets. Ordinary people, for the first time in 5,000 years, owned their own time. And the moment that happened, everything accelerated. Factory shifts, train schedules, school timetables, office hours, the very structure of modern life, built entirely on that swinging lamp in Pisa. Think about the device you checked before clicking this video. That screen, that clock, that notification, it carries every desperate invention, every stolen hour, every bell that ever controlled a human being. 5,000 years of struggle, sitting quietly in your pocket. There is one final thing left to say, and it changes how you will think about time from this point forward. Every clock you have ever owned stands on 5,000 years of human desperation. A dripping bowl, a swinging lamp, a stolen hour. Someone fought for your right to know what time it is. Do not waste it. If this changed how you see ordinary things, the next video will do exactly that again. Watch it now.